Well, we got some concerning news today. Elon Musk, actually, as I said yesterday during my reporting, but I didn't talk about it yesterday, Elon Musk will be stepping down as CEO of Twitter. And in his place, we found out this morning, will be a woman, and not just any woman, a member of the World Economic Forum, and the now former VP of marketing for NBC Universal, so a Comcast employee. And of course, there are all the sound bites from interviews that you might imagine concerning ESG and wokeism. The woman comes across as a total conventional World Economic Forum corporate tool, and she is taking over just as Elon is pivoting Twitter away from being a social media site to being an everything app, like is it WeChat or Weibo, whatever, the Chinese app where you do all your banking, you do all your shopping, you do all your talking, everything all in one, so that the Chinese government doesn't have to monitor multiple apps. They just monitor one account on one app, and they know everything about your life. That's what Elon has been talking about creating in America, and that's what he wants Twitter to become. And so this World Economic Forum member, this high-ranking World Economic Forum, she doesn't just attend conferences. She is the chair of one of their committees, I forget which. It's all a bunch of nonsense. And so there is a risk at this point that the Twitter takeover and Elon's increasingly based takes over the past few months have all been a Trojan horse to try and lure dissidents, people who oppose the U.S. regime, onto Twitter to put their full trust into Elon when he eventually launches Twitter as the everything app, so that these people will then put all of their sensitive information on Twitter, and they will be linked to Twitter because they will be dependent on it, not just for communicating, not just for expressing themselves anymore, but for perhaps banking, shopping, and whatnot, financial services, the like. If this is in fact a Trojan horse, everybody gets on there, then this World Economic Forum woman will run Twitter in such a way to suppress these people, and they will be trapped because they will have already given in and incorporated themselves into the Twitter board. And so I'm very concerned about this, but there are some people pushing back on the idea that this woman is in fact just another plain World Economic Forum shill, even though there is video evidence and documentation. Some people are advancing a theory that this was all a front because she works in corporate America. She has to act like she's one of them, and that actually, if you look at her Twitter account, she follows a lot of big right-wing accounts, and she's liked some based tweets in the past, not just in the last week as some sort of cover, but going back months and months. And so there is a theory being advanced amongst Elon defenders, of which I've never counted myself one. I've always been extremely skeptical of Elon Musk long before he ever got involved in the culture wars or politics. Even back when he was just the Tesla guy, I've always been very skeptical of Elon and his promises. But there are people who have put their faith in him, who claim that perhaps this woman was a Trojan horse, not for our side, but for the World Economic Forum types, for the global elite. That she has essentially been putting up a front because it's the only way that you can operate in that world, which is true. But deep down, this woman who is about to become the CEO of Twitter is actually one of us. And she will lead us off to victory. Now, I don't know which theory is correct yet. There is evidence on both sides. I think that the wokesters have just as much reason at this point to fear this woman as we do. And so I don't know whether she will be a friend or an enemy. Only time will tell. But one thing is clear. Elon is taking Twitter in a universalist direction. And so whether or not Twitter is a force for good or a force for evil becomes much more consequential. Because when Twitter was just a social media app, yeah, they could have sucked like they did towards the end before he bought it. Twitter could really suck and censor people, and even censor very important news stories like the New York Post story about the Hunter Biden laptop that arguably changed the outcome of an election. There is no telling how powerful and how much evil Twitter could serve if it had more power over our lives, over more aspects of our daily lives. And so the question of who controls Twitter and to what end is only going to become more relevant as the months go on. Now, if this really was Elon selling out and turning Twitter over to the Davos crowd, I would find it strange that we have this whole thing with Tucker just a couple days before all this is announced. The Tucker stuff does not really seem consistent with selling out and handing over Twitter to the World Economic Forum, because obviously that'll be a good test. If things really start to change at Twitter and Twitter 2.0 reverts to Twitter 1.0, we're going to see the censorship of Tucker and people like him. Tucker will just have to move on from Twitter to a platform like Rumble. Now, it would be strange after all this, after Elon has cultivated this audience, if he goes in the opposite direction. So I guess at the end of the day, I should try and stay positive. But it doesn't take much for Elon to shake my trust. That's why this morning I was completely like, okay, Twitter's dead to me. That was nice while it lasted, because I have no faith in the man. And then once I started to see things that countered some of what this woman has said publicly, I thought, okay, maybe there's a chance that she's not a total disaster. That's when I started to come back around and moderate my position a little bit. So, with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow.